Hello, Scrappy Peeps. Suzanna here today for a cherry on top, and I'm sharing with you this rainbow layout created with the Blooming Wild collection from Paige Evans, available over at A Cherry on Top. So this blocked page here is what inspired my layout, and so I'm going to make a colored block layout. These photos are of our St. Patty's Day, so recently, and what St. Patty's Day layout doesn't deserve either green and gold or a rainbow, right? So I'm going to use the rainbow colors available, so not necessarily Roy G. Biv, right? But a smattering of colors, and I'm going to kind of block the layout. I am somewhat known for my grid blocked layouts, and with this one in particular, I'm not going rigid, i.e. I'm not going at straight right angles. I'm going to float and twist and turn and overlap a few of these things. So the idea is with the embellishments and pattern papers that I have, I want to do tone on tone embellishments. And with the selection of goodies that I bought, that was the idea, that was what I was going to do. But it isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be to do the tone on tone. So you see I had that striped paper. I will off camera use that striped paper. I'm going to do a very thin edge border at the top and the bottom of the layout. So I like the white, I like white, and I like white space and I like my white background, but I felt like the photo was pretty dark, the one of my daughter and I needed a little bit more black to ground the layout. So I will go in and I will add black later. So now I'm going through all of the embellishments that I have. I did not buy all of the embellishments. So you can see I have these journaling blocks. I have the puffy words with flowers, and that piece of pattern paper there, the blocked patterns there, as well as the florals. Oh, and the frames, the chipboard frames. I bought all of those thinking that I would be able to do a fair amount with all of the, I'm going to call it color blocking. So looking for things that I can put tone on tone, it was much more difficult, like I said, than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to pull out these horizontal banners. There's 3 of them, but they all ended up being on the same side of the page, which I didn't really like. I wanted to have maybe one on the top and one on the bottom. So, and I really did want things to overlap. So I wanted the purple or the violet going into the blue and the blue going into the green, just to tie it together, provide a little bit of unity between the blocks. So this is where I'm going to put the black header and footer. What I'm missing in the video here, this is one of the off-camera things that I decide to do, when you get that second look, is I will put the multicolored strip, and then I will also zigzag stitch on that. The other thing that I don't do is I don't put the title on the page, but I will do that. Well, I put Radiant, which is kind of the title. That's the multicolor rainbow that kind of pulls it all together. But I don't put the other words on the page on the video. So I'm going to speed through this. This is super fast because this is literally, you saw me laying it all down. This is just me adhering it, but I will slow it back down when it comes to my figuring out placement of some things that I did not plan for. So you can see I switched adhesive. So I no longer design for ThermoWeb, and while I love their adhesive, it is very expensive, and I am not going to pay for that, especially given that I have years and years, literally years worth of other adhesives accumulated over the years. And so I had been trying to use my ATG again. It has been a really, really long time. And I forget that I have a latex sensitivity, and I forget there's latex in the ATG. And you could also see from where I tried pulling up that yellow frame, it is super adhesive initially, and I forget about that. And you watch my videos, I pull things up a lot. So I need to find an adhesive. Well, I don't. I have plenty of them. I need to not use the ATG unless I know I'm permanently sticking something down, because you saw that black mark. And so that, you know, I was using black cardstock. But anyway, so what I'm doing now is I've stuck everything down where I want everything to be, and I am going to pull out these chipboard frames. I love the little, just the minis, and I'm going to add those to to squares that they correspond to. Popping a couple of things up on foam just for some dimension, as you know I like to do. So you can see in the video here that I am literally just sticking these down onto the squares. I did end up having to go back in off camera and use some liquid adhesive for these things. You know, anytime you're using the chipboard pieces, I highly recommend using liquid adhesive and or Zots, the Thermoweb Zots or sticky dots. Those would be good too, but I really like the liquid adhesive, especially when you think about these things are being stored more often than not vertically in an album and can literally slide downhill. So this next word that I'm going to put down is friends. And I love my daughter, but until she's probably in her mid to late 20s, we are not going to be friends. I'm going to be the parent and the authority, and we can be friendly, but friends don't have the authority that a parent has. And I find that kids these days really need that. That's just me and my parenting style. So I took friends off because I felt that that was not a reflection of our relationship. Not that it had to be. I could have just used it as decor, but I do try and make my ephemera be reflective of the story that I am telling. So I change it to story, and I will off camera put true above it. Not that it's really a story that it needs verifying or not, but it just made story make more sense there. So now I'm going to do tone on tone flowers, and I love the little shots of green in the leaves that just kind of pull a little bit more visual interest to each of the color palettes there. And that's part of why I wanted to have the overlapping, right? So it would guide your eye across from one color block to the other, so it wasn't literally blocked. Let's call it color block flowing. So there's the word that's going to pull everything together. Radiant. I love that. It's all of the colors. I am going to off camera, when I put the zigzag stitching in the header and the footer, stitch through that, because that just would not stick even with the liquid adhesive that I wanted to use. So I'm going to fussy cut some flowers and add those in, and then here are the close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.